4 Night Slayers, so they didn't
Yeah.
want that Vlad to come through.
I think we might be a little ahead of when the stream sees it, but you're hearing our reactions. You can probably guess what it means. The Vladimir was banned away, so that means last time it was the Jace. This time the Kaisa is also banned away from the side of haters, but it is still Jack's first picked here for Night Slayers. They are committing to this form apple yet again.
You guessed it. I mean, come on, man. There's got to be the stars are aligning for you right now.
I kind of guessed it, because I guessed Jax, but I also hard committed that it would be the same bands. So I 50-50. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of Kangas magic going on there, to be honest. But to be fair, I mean, it makes sense. If you ban out the Vlad, it's kind of like, right, let's try this Jax again, because
yeah,
in the laning phase, especially when we saw the rotation for Vlad and Gwen, it did give a lot of pressure onto the Jax, so maybe getting that Vlad out of there. We see the Gwen once again on the side of haters, and the Galio. Okay.
I mean, if you're haters, I think you can run back a very similar composition here. If you go for the Senna for your next rotation, you can then pick a jungler, save your mid lane pick for counter pick, and then, yeah, it's pretty solid setup so far. Let's see how Night Slayers want to approach this. Last time around, I believe it was the Varus and the Corki locked in together at this stage. They are hovering the Varus, and it looks like they will commit to at least that one. Now, how much additional range do they want to commit? Because Jace is on the table. I think if you go for like a Varus Corki, you're going to be answered by something like a Jace, maybe even the Ziggs, which is still up here. You could go Ziggs Galio instead of the Senna Galio. I think that's fine if the Galio is not the one CSing and instead goes for a little bit more budget build. So there's a lot of options that Night Slayers need to think about.
Yeah, I mean, if they do go for the Ziggs pick on the side of haters, obviously we'll see a lot more of Galio roam, but we've seen the Alistar getting locked in a little bit earlier this time around, and the Senna as well, so they both wanted those picks a little bit more. There was a bit more of a urgency for those picks, whether they thought that they would get banned out in this 4th and 5th bans for both of the teams. But the Senna with the infinite scaling, and then to be fair, the Alistar, especially with those early game, literally just lingering in the bushes, and when they weren't being warded, it actually really caught off a lot of haters in a few of the moments in the match. So I think the Alistar pick was a good one. We'll see how it plays out. But so far, the draft's pretty much similar.
I think the Alistar is better without the Vlad. I actually do like this much more because I'm still flashing back to 2 of those moments where you go in onto the Vladimir and they just press pool and then your entire combo is wasted. That will not be an option now for haters, and I think that if Alistar is still going to be roaming around the map, you're going to get more value out of it. You're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck. They ban away the Jace. They ban away the Xin Zhao. They're not banning the Ziggs because this time they kind of assume that it is Senna Galio bot lane, but instead it's Leona locked in, implying this Galio mid lane with Senna and Leona rocking it down there.
I believe this is one of their strange picks where it's Leona jungle. I think I heard this from the grapevine on one of the matches that I didn't cast in the qualifier 2 because I was busy. But yeah, it came out, and I'm pretty sure it was the Leona jungle. So it'd be interesting to see if it is, because I would love to see it personally. I haven't seen it yet, but to be fair, we're seeing the Gwen's going to go back into that Baron lane. If that is the case, the Senna and the Galio are going to be back down into the bot lane. We're potentially seeing quite a bit of a melee champion in the mid. But to be fair, the Yone and the Lilia as well. That's an interesting pickup for Night Slayers.
I want to talk about the Yone for a little bit here before we react to the final haters lock-in here. The Yone has a lot of bursts, a lot of all-in potential, but you're going into a Leona and a Galio. Kind of dangerous, because if you get locked down as Yone, you don't necessarily have the biggest health bar, and you can get popped, especially now when you factor in a Fizz on top of that. Fizz is all about that quick burst damage and just being slippery as all heck. Really hard to lock down. And, you know, Alistar, I was saying, hey, the Vladimir, really hard to gank. Well, hate to say it, the Fizz is also kind of hard to gank, so good luck here. We'll see if Geki's able to pull this off. And also, I'm just realizing now that I had the names wrong when I was giving props to Geki earlier when I was referencing the jungler. That was Mata Peros, I believe, instead. So, sorry for that flub there. Either way, Geki's going to have his work cut out for him this game again.
Definitely, yeah. But yeah, it is going to be the Leona in the jungle. And like you said, when you pick up that Yone going into a Leona, especially if the Leona can manage to time those Zenith Blades correctly, obviously knowing where the Yone shadow form is, locking down that Yone is going to be just pretty much make him and render him useless. We're seeing the phase rush once again. So we're seeing Mr. Jin loves phase rush on his junglers here. He's gone for it on the Leona. And obviously, typically, Fizz with the first strike, quite OP right now, which is a fantastic ruin onto Fizz currently. Once again, both supports taking that Glacial Augment over Aftershock. But yeah, I'm really excited to see these little changes from into the jungle in the mid lane. It's going to be interesting to see how this changes for haters, or will Night Slayers pick that trump pick that they needed to take a 1-1 victory this time around.
I'm just going to say it, the jungle picks here have really changed up how the game should be expected to play out, and that was the biggest swap up. Mid laners as well, much more damage and burst. So we're into game here. Let's take a look and see how they want to approach this one, because Night Slayers are backs against the wall. Tournament lives on the line here. They want to pick up 2 more wins in a row. Haters just need that one.
Yep, it's definitely the pressure for Night Slayers has been turned up to 11. It all depends on how they perform in this match, whether they're going to stay in the competition, try and fight it for another day, or they're going to just completely take a 2-0 and learn from there. But a lot of damage being done at dual lane once again, early out the doors. We saw it last match, and they are continuing it with it this match, especially with the likes of Varus. That poke damage from his first ability is just insane.
Yeah, stacking up that Conqueror, you're going to be doing more damage than the Senna, especially when Galio's starting with the Winds of War instead. So they are controlling the lane right now. It's wise for haters bot lane to stay underneath the turf at this point, because if you walk up to an Alistar, you will probably just die, as the top lane shove is in favor of Apex here. So Baron lane going for one team, Dragon lane going for the other, and mid lane basically being held in the middle.
Yep, we're seeing the Alistar looking for a bit of a rotation there. I was surprised that we saw Night Slayers actually so pushed forward this time around, considering what happened in the last match with Jin Zhao taking that easy double kill. Obviously, it was a little bit later on. Leona is a little bit more different in terms of how she can get in onto these team fights. That Zenith Blade is a little bit more peculiar to land onto these champions, other than Jin Zhao's second and third combo. But yeah, it's they are definitely controlling that bot lane. We've got a bit more roam from the Alistar. We're looking to see the Lilia rotate around as well. Are we getting a bit of a leash here, or are they cooking something up here?
Interesting that Alistar's basically been next to the Lilia for the past 30 seconds here. Went towards mid lane, they didn't find the gank, but then follows the Lilia to the Scuttle, follows the Lilia to the Krugs, and then finally comes back to the lane. This is rough for mid lane here. Oh, light flashes! Oh! That was slick!
That was a beautiful play there from Light in the mid lane. What looked possibly like Fizz getting the first blood there turned into Yone outplaying the Fizz. Both of the summoner spells exhaust, so obviously we saw that the Ignite played a big part in getting that first blood. Maple and Apex go 1v1, but we do see the Lilia go in there with the flashes indeed, but the Jax comes out pretty much. Oh, wait, where did Leona come from? Did I miss something?
I have no idea, but that was cool. There comes in Leona, and Apex just dodges everything. The flash from Mataperos just completely whiffs the flash first ability, and then almost dodges out on the second one as well. That's going to be multiple plates over to Team Haters. They could probably go for a third one. Yeah, I mean, just commit for this. Get this Gwen fed.
Literally, that gold from that plating is going to be troublesome for the Jax here. There we go. So Leona's ult onto the Jax, picking up another kill on the Jax in the Baron lane. This is going to be a bit of an issue now for Night Slayers, especially with that turret's plating taken and a double kill being taken there in the Baron lane.
Light was roaming up. If Light gets a double kill there, I think it's salvageable. But from this position, I don't see how Night Slayer stops the snowball. A Gwen this far ahead of a Jax is an absolute nightmare. Outside of the fact that they went for the Merc Treads yet again, So instead opting for the anti-magic damage as opposed to the anti-physical damage, which I think is going to be more valuable, especially looking at everybody except for the Lilia, I suppose. But you know what? Maybe it's just comfort for Apex. Either way, you still have this massive lead. You're up 1,400 gold. And they even have Leona coming in again. Mystigan does not want to end the camp.
I'm still a little bit dumbfounded here on how the Leona managed to get in the first place, but we're getting it once again. I'm pretty sure it's from the same bush, but Jaxie's just getting bullied in this Baron lane. That's another kill for Gwen. She's 3-0 up on the Jax right now. That turret is looking pretty low. I don't think they'll be able to get it here. It'd be pretty much a 50-50 no. Yeah, the Alistar has to recall. The minion wave is coming back in. We're seeing that Lunari is rotating up from the mid lane as well to go and help with that first turret takedown. I believe that it's a much quicker first turret than the first match, because we only saw it when the Rift Herald was spawned. They dropped it in mid on the side of Night Slayers.
No, this is
definitely pre-Rift Herald, and it's a lot quicker.
He's like a whole minute ahead. That was blistering speed right there. Remember that it was actually Night Slayers with the earlier lead last time around. They had Alistar roaming onto the top side of the map and pulling off plays. This time, top lane has completely fallen apart. It is in shambles. Apex has a 2,200 gold lead, a completed item against Maple, and even though Night Slayers are going for the Herald yet again, it is traded for the Dragon just like game one, and I think that haters are feeling just fine about this, because while Geki's been roaming around on the Alistar, hasn't gotten much done, fallen even further behind in gold than we saw last game, and now they're just diving bot lane.
They're just following wherever this Jax goes. It's like, oh, you want to change lanes? You think that's going to actually change our approach to you? No, we're going to follow you down there. We're going to take that kill. But they not only get a kill in the bot lane, they do get a kill in top lane onto the Yone. We do see that Fizz falls, so it is a 2-1 trade. Senna and Varus currently duking it off in that mid lane, but Varus gets the last hit and manages to secure a kill in the mid lane. They drop the Rift Herald. Will it connect and land?
They need to get a lot done.
More damage on that, I think.
I don't think they're going to kill the Galio here. It's pretty much impossible, but they can get the turret gold, and they need to start funneling gold into the other carries. Top lane is donezo. I don't see a world where Maple gets back into this one, so instead you need to focus your attention elsewhere. I'm happy that they are keeping their head in the game, and that they are trying to get gold somewhere else onto the map here, because they do have a slight lead for Draken here on the Varus.
Yeah, whatever mentality they had going into this match, I think it needs not even a mid-game mentality change. It's pretty much still beginning game. We're still 6 minutes going into the 7th minute right now, and we're seeing that massive goal difference in that Baron lane. So we can completely see a strategy change for haters by literally propping up that Gwen in the Baron lane, especially from the help of Leona right now, to the point where we can literally leave Gwen to 1v1 the Jax currently. But to be fair to Night Slayers, they did manage to get that mid lane turret, so it is now 1 turret to 2. We see that they managed to get the dual lane turret as well on the side of Night Slayers, so they're still doing these small victories. They're still ahead. They are now ahead by 4k gold. It's just, once again, how can they stop this?
We got an invade. Oh, they're just going to blow him up. Not a lot of a chance. Oh, wait, no, he's still alive. Big engage Alistar.
Oh, Galio coming in. Nicely done. E onto the Alistar. Trying to taunt it. Oh, okay. They take out the Leona. Leona goes down. Senna is in there as well. Pretty much a 2-2 trade currently, but it's a 3-on-1 going on to the Senna. She's on the run. Jax has to recall because he's pretty low, but we see in that top lane, Fizz is doing bits, but Senna's just keeping on alive, but cannot escape the Lilia. So Lilia taking 3 kills there.
Not a bad look for Night Slayers right there. They hard commit on an overextended haters. I don't think the battle lines were what haters expected them to be. Alistar gets in there. They have a flank angle from a Yone, and then haters suddenly realize, wait, this is not the fight that we thought it was. Lunari is able to get a kill in the mid lane and did get the turret in the top lane as well. So Fizz getting into this game, getting a little bit of gold in his pocket. But otherwise, I think that haters realize they cannot just walk anywhere they want to. They need to respect specifically this Lilia from this point on.
Yeah, I think stuff like that, when that happens in a game, it really does sort of give the enemy team a reality check. And like you say, haters cannot, even though they're ahead right now, they cannot sort of continue with that sort of trying to take for granted the enemy team, thinking, right, okay, we've got that Baron lane lead, all good. But it's Jax once again. Mackel has to force the flash to get out of that team fight, but we got a heavy presence from red team in the blue jungle. It's pretty troublesome for Night Slayers here. They do have a bit of vision there, only the one bit of vision, thanks to the Ghost Poro. But if it weren't for the Ghost Poro, they would have no vision in their jungle right now. So I think they need to sort of try to give some vision to themselves. Oh, but Galio ult in. Nicely done from haters there.
Okay, 1-for-1 trade. Light does go down. Oh, I think that's yeah, that's not good for Mata.
No, yeah, activating that sprint. You saw Apex literally pegging it from that Nexus just to try and catch out the Lilia there. He was like, no, you are not controlling any more of these team fights. And it looks like Gwen's going to get another kill. That is a triple kill for Gwen in that interaction.
The dominoes are falling, Blam. One after another, just like game one. Oh, when it rains, it pours for Night Slayers. They get a dive bot, they get their man, but then they cannot get out of there, and poor Draken's caught in the crossfire. That will be a second Dragon now. Over to haters, who find themselves with a gargantuan gold lead, 5,000 at 10 minutes into the game, and the vast majority of that is just on Apex, who nobody can answer in a side lane right now.
Yeah, literally, especially with the help of that sprint, he can be anywhere that he needs to be. It's not like it's a case of, oh, let's wait for Gwen to get here. It's like, Gwen's already here, bro. Did you not realize? And then she gets some, comes in with a triple kill, and then, yeah, even more gold in her favor. She's currently almost 5k gold difference just in her lane alone. That is just massive, massive for haters right now. And they do secure their second dragon. So they're still going on that same mentality.
What I want to see from haters from this point on is actually what I was asking to see from Night Slayers last game. Focus on the side lane from this point forward. I think the only way Night Slayers actually can come back is in a team fight, because they have the Lilia, very powerful team fighter. She gets a multi-champion sleep. She's also got the Leandries. You know, got 9,700 gold for herself. She is the one keeping Night Slayers in this game. I think you play away from that champion, which means you play away from the team fights. Let Gwen dominate the side lane. Let Gwen threaten this top inhibitor, because nobody can answer the Gwen. They have to send multiple champions, and while they're doing that, the rest of the team can get other things done on the Rift. And right now, it seems like Apex might have that in mind. Apex is on a solo mission currently, while it's actually Fizz getting caught out bot.
Yep. Whoa, nicely done from the Alistair, but there we go. There's that Galio in onto the Lunari there. That was nicely done, but we do see that Varus is in onto the team fight here. We see Senna coming down with the owner. We just saw her there. We couldn't see her in that, but we see that blue team are pretty low. Galio going in with the E and then flashing further into the backline there. Nicely done, Galio, and then just quickly turn that 3v1 into a massacre for themselves.
Oh, Apex now in a 1v2. Apex wins these. I promise you, watch it. The drain tanking, the healing. He's getting one on the rampage. Go for the second one. Oh, not quite. Oh, the ult hits though.
There's the ult. Trying to get
there it is.
Oh, nice status, but
it's burning up. Who got it?
Oh.
All right, well, that is a delayed ace right there, but an ace nonetheless. Lunari, though. Let's talk about this, Fizz. How did you survive? You didn't even need your flash in all of that. I know the Galio ult was a big factor, but what an outplay, breaking the ankles of Night Slayers and winning that bot skirmish for the team when I thought that the Fizz was the one getting caught out. It earns them multiple kills and a Baron. This is going to be a 2-0 from haters. I do not see a world where Night Slayers come back at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a bit unfortunate for them. That early game sort of Baron lane abuse from Gwen and Leona really set up haters pretty well. But I think regardless without that, with these team fights, yeah, we saw it towards the early game where Night Slayers could have had a potential chance in these team fights. We saw the same sort of method from Alistair, sitting in these bushes, waiting for some lonesome hater on the team to come through, try and catch an out, but it didn't quite work that way because the pace that haters are going compared to the pace that Night Slayers are going, it's kind of night and day, and it's hard to sort of play against that pace, especially when you are so behind in gold right now, and the lane priority is yours.
This is one of those moments where we start making bets. Will Apex end with double the gold of Maple?
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, definitely. He's currently on charter for it.
He's taking a 1v2 under turn.
Didn't even need the Leona. Just the presence of Leona herself was just like enough to give Apex a lot of confidence within that, but we see that there is quite a few split team fights going on here. Apex still going to Maple. There is a 1v1 going under the turret. She's taking a lot of damage. They do have the Baron Nashor minion buff here. Flash in with a Couch Strike, but nice status there. Galio going in with the flash, but he's just trying to get that taunt, stopping it, and there's that Leona ult straight onto Jax. Maple back out of the fight. Alistair getting bullied once again by the team haters. Yone being the only one up. Now we see Lilia back here, but the Nexus has lost its shield. It's a double kill for that Leona in the jungle. The minions are doing their thing whilst they're just bullying the Lilia. Lilia goes down, and there goes the Nexus. It is a 2-0 for haters.
The last base stand from Night Slayers looked pretty decent, like it's the solo kill right at the end there on the Yone, taking down the Fizz, doing what 3 members of the team couldn't do earlier. And then Maple almost gets the shutdown onto Apex, but that darn stasis, man, keeps him alive. Apex 12-1-3 on the Gwen, got that first kill, got the ball rolling, and never let it stop. That snowball was huge by the end of the game.
And anybody that took that bet from Kangas would know if you rounded up the numbers from the Gwen and the Jax, you would have been a winning man. So if you were a betting man, I'm pretty sure everybody would have taken that bet. Rounding that 5 up to 15,000, rounding that to 8,000 is pretty much there. My maths is bad. It is 9 p.m. in the UK, but let's
if we do Apex rounded up to the nearest 1,000, but Maple rounded to the nearest 500. No, that still doesn't work. That's fine. We were close. We were close.
Yeah, we'll divide it. I'm pretty sure our analysts will work out a way to make that maths work. But over to Blaziken once again.
Yeah, so there's a saying in competitive play, which is that bullying is okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Here was bullying in terms of like, think about what happened in top lane, right? You get a kill on that Jax. You're like, okay, Jax, I'm just gonna sit under the turret. I'm gonna farm up. I'm just gonna, we're gonna have a nice long game. I'm just gonna sit here. I'm gonna be fine. And then the Leona shows up again. And again, and again, and suddenly you're 0-5, and it's like, I'm not having a great time anymore.
Yeah, and the difficulty being it's not a Volibear jungle backing you up like last time, where the Volibear is happy to gank. It's a Lilia who wants to farm up a little bit more, hit that level 5 before she starts really interacting with the lane. So there wasn't a lot of backup, meaning Alistair had to go. And the same thing happened again, Blaziken, as game 1, where Alistair's on the map, but not getting passive golden lane, not really helping out the Varus. And now it's kind of like, you got a vacuum in the bot lane. You got a vacuum in the top lane. Like, everything's just getting sucked up by the enemy team, and there's no way to stop it.
Yeah. I mean, you're speaking about the Alistair roam. The most important thing, right, when you're trying to stop a tank jungler is making sure that your farming jungler gets ahead first, right? Because what's a really popular strategy in China? Shen jungle. Because Shen can move around the map really fast with his ultimate. Leona, I think, fills a similar role where she's trying to come in, put some CC on the gank. So what you need to do with that Lilia is get her ahead really quickly. And she was ahead, right? We think about it, she was ahead, she was to scuttle first, but then Alistar takes that roam and it just kind of fizzles out. What were you thinking about that time, Blam?
Yeah, I mean, down in the bot lane, we saw very early from the side of Night Slayers that they were pretty much like abusing a little bit. They were getting a lot of great poke damage onto haters. But then we saw that the Alistair sort of, we can correlate it, to be fair. The Alistair decided to go on a roam, and then it kind of just set the pace for in the Baron lane. We saw the Leona come out of nowhere, literally like Randy Orton, like RKOing, basically Jax in the top lane for so many times, and then even when Jax decided to swap down to dual lane, it was like, we can follow you. There's no borders on this game. We will follow you and we will kill you, and it just kept happening.
Yeah, and the thing that I wanted to sort of shout out is I think the Senna, not just because she gave out a lot of gold for air quotes free, but I think, right, you saw early those trades. The Varus and the Alistar really going in on that Senna Galio, trying to get that early advantage. But Senna absorbs that pressure so well. So when that Alistar tries to roam, the Galio is fine, and they're back up to like, a quarter to full HP. That said, I want to shout out something else that I think is super cool. Mystigen's Leona build. I'm going to ask in chat, and no cheaters, do you guys know whether Leona does AP or AD damage?
Ooh. Are you asking us that, or are you asking
I'll
chat
ask you
that?
two as well. I'll ask you
Okay.
two as well. I know we're on a bit of delay.
I know that the abilities do AP, but she also has auto attack reset on the first ability, so building AD's not actually that bad on her.
Right. So I hopped into game real quick to do some a little investigation because I wasn't sure. So Leona has a 30% damage ratio on her shield bash, the Shield of Daybreak. No AP ratio. Well, actually, she has a small AP ratio, 40% on the end of her W, that little circle she gets, 40% on her Zenith Blade, and then an 80% magic damage ratio on her ultimate. So what she's actually doing here is she's building a match HP damage from Divine Sunderer, and then getting the double effect of that it's not Staff of Flowing Waters, the Imperial Mandate.
Imperial Mandate, yeah.
So what were you thinking about stuff like that, Blam? What do you think about that cool build?
It just once again it just shines the knowledge of these players. Obviously, Mystigen was definitely knowing of this information going into this build because we don't really. I don't think I've ever seen any other region play the Leona jungle in Wild Rift up until now. When I first heard about it, I didn't believe it, but then when I knew it was Mystigen playing it, I was like, okay, kind of makes sense. But yeah, the way that you've now broken that down about the AP ratio on not only the shield and the AoE damage from that ability, but also the Zenith Blade, it makes sense that what he's building is doing well, and it's something that other teams might have to start investing into because it bullied hard.
The Divine Sunderer will also help with your clear speed in the jungle. Then the Mandate into the Frozen Heart means that once you get on somebody, they're going to die fast, and once you're in there, nobody's going to do damage anymore. So that's really cool.
Exactly. The other thing that I want to sort of highlight is, Night Slayers almost had a comeback, right? If we think about it, they did get that team fight win down on bot side where they used Maple to kind of escape, play around the team.